We're going off-road, way back off the highway.
What is up, guys? I'm Chris with The Average Jeepers, and today I'm going to give you guys some pointers on buying a Jeep Cherokee. But first, if you're new to the channel and you magically just found this awesome channel, hit that subscribe button. Also hit that bell next to it so you get all the notifications when we upload, because we upload weekly. And also follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Alright, so you're thinking about buying a Jeep Cherokee, but before you make the worst financial decision of your life, here's a few things you might want to consider. Number one, price. How much is this? Is this thing under $1,000 or is this thing $3,500? If it's under $1,000 or if it's around the $500 range and it's got a lot of problems, these are things you could probably overlook depending on how mechanically inclined you are. Another thing that you might want to look for is, what are you going to do with this thing? Are you going to use it as a woods rig? Are you going to take it off-road occasionally? Or is it a daily driver? If it's going to be a strictly off-road rig, then you can obviously overlook a lot of things that you couldn't overlook with, being a daily driver. Let's go over some of the common problems that they have. Alright, so first thing that I always look for is rust. You want to look and make sure that your floorboards are not completely rusted out. See, mine's fine on the driver's side, but my passenger side had a hole in it. And that's pretty common. I put a street sign on it and fixed it. But you want to check all underneath and just look for rust. Also, while you're down here, you might want to look for oil leaks, transmission leaks. You're also going to want to make sure your front drive shaft's in, because a lot of times you won't even look and you won't even have a front drive shaft. Make sure that your transfer case, look for leaks at it. I got a little leak right there. And I'm leaking a little bit of oil right there. That's another thing you're going to want to look for is oil leaks. Also, check your unibody. These things are unibody, so make sure that these aren't really rusted out. Also, while you're under here, shake your drive shaft. Check the U-joints on your front and your rear. These are good. Also, it's not a bad idea to check the U-joints on your axles. Look inside for brake fluid on the rim and around the hub. Also check for it on the rear. Alright, check out the rocker panels and the corner panels. I mean, I've tucked and folded mine, but that's a common place for rust there. Another thing to look for, if it's sitting at stock height, you still want to check to see if it's ever been lifted. So you'd want to check for like new shocks, new springs. Another good thing to look for is if the track bar, a new track bar too, but if they drilled a hole right over here, that's a good indicator that the Jeep was lifted at one time. This goes for all Jeeps. I always would recommend checking to see if it had a lift on it at one time or another, because if you get a lifted Jeep, they lifted it to take it off-road, so somebody's probably dogged the shit out of it off-road, and you might be inheriting some other problems. But if it's a decent lift and the price is right, who knows? Your call. And the same thing with the rear. These Cherokee stock leaf springs, they were pretty garbage, so it didn't take long for them to wear out at all. And it's not uncommon for them to be completely flat, not have any curve to them whatsoever, or even having undercurve or curving backwards. That's not uncommon. But yeah, check the corner panels all around. Look for rust. Rust is what you don't want to find. Alright, another thing, let's open the door. And this hinge right here. These hinges, especially on the driver's side, are real bad about that weld right there breaking. So you can grab the edge of the door, lift up on the door, and if it moves a lot, or you can see that it moves, I mean, that's not a big deal if you have any welding skills whatsoever, or you could probably take it to a welding shop and they can just throw a bead on there for you real quick. But that's a common problem. Stuff like doors sticking, not opening, not a big deal. Hatches sticking, not a big deal. And those are common too. Alright, you're going to want to feel. Yours will probably have carpet. And you can see how easy it is to patch the hole. That was my old hole. It's just a square street sign. Just kind of beat it and screwed it in there, and it covers the hole. Your seat brackets, those are ones you want to check too. As you can see, mine's about rusted out right there. It's about to break, so I'm gonna have to address that soon. Not a big deal for me. A lot of things that would deter you probably wouldn't deter me, depending on how, you know, how good your mechanical skills are and where your skill level is and everything. So check for that. You're going to want to check, because right here, that leaks water in there, and it'll come all the way down in here, and then your passenger side floorboard will just sit with the carpet soaking wet, and that'll rust a big old hole in it. That, and then the exhaust goes right underneath it right there, so it gets wet, hot, and then it rusts, and then you have rust problems, which is what you don't want. Alright, next let's pop the hood. Alright, here's a few things that you'll want to check. You know, check your fan. Make sure that there's resistance on it when you push it. That one actually doesn't have much resistance. You could probably use changing. These headers, these exhaust manifolds, these things are garbage. So chances are, if it doesn't have an actual header on it, then it has a crack in it. And they'll crack, right? I don't know if you can see. I'm cheap, so I just welded mine. But if you look in there, they like to crack right there. And then where they all come into one, they like to crack right there too. Let's see if I can get underneath it. Let's see. Right there. They like to crack right around there. And you know, you can get a header for this thing for 50 bucks on Amazon or eBay. So that's not a big deal at all. Chances are they've been running it for years like that anyway. Alright, check around your valve cover. You're going to want to look for oil pouring out. There's only a few spots where these 4.0s really will leak oil. Your oil pan, your rear main seal, your valve cover. And a lot of times you'll have right there on the oil filter adapter, that bad boy will leak and it will cover your starter with all types of oil. It'll keep everything nice and lubricated down there, but that's another common problem. Alright, then start the truck. You're going to want to hear what the motor sounds like. Want to make sure you don't hear like any knocking or anything. Make sure it sounds good and healthy. Alright, one thing to do, and if it's four-wheel drive, and I hope to God it is make sure the four-wheel drive works. Like a lot of times people won't even check the four-wheel drive, and they went to buy a four-wheel drive vehicle. So you don't have to go off-road to check the four-wheel drive. I would check four low. Check four high. You can feel it engage. Put it back in two-wheel drive. Make sure. Alright, check for gauges. You know, make sure that if your oil pressure is just kind of acting stupid, I wouldn't worry too much about that. Their oil pressure sending units they're pretty bad. Their sensors are. Check your voltage. And if your gauges don't work, but the motor sounds healthy and the price is right, like I said, the price really will determine a lot with me, at least, in my personal opinion. I can overlook a lot of stuff if the price, depending on what the price is. You know, on a vehicle this old, I wouldn't really care too much. I mean, I'd check the mileage, but chances are it's probably not right anyway. Look for lights, like I got the brake light on, so there's an issue with the brakes there. And you can use all this stuff. Anything wrong with the Jeep, you can use to negotiate, you know, prices. You know, get up to normal running temperature. If you're lucky enough and the air conditioning works, yeah, you can try out the air conditioning. I mean, these are common things that you should do anytime that you buy a used car. Try to stick more to things that are common with the XJs. And the gauge is not working. That's a common problem with the XJs too. So I think we even got a video on what to do. I'll try to post a card right now. If your gauges don't work, check that out. Alright, and those are just a few things that you should look for and maybe could use as negotiating tools when purchasing a Jeep XJ. So if you're really considering buying a Jeep XJ, I highly recommend it. I also recommend that you hit that subscribe button so you can see how to fix those XJs after you buy them. I'll put a link for a playlist right here on how to fix it. Also, if there's anything I missed, I'm sure you can scroll down to the comments section and see what the experts have to say, and they'll let you in on everything else that I missed. Other than that, we'll see you next time.